To be a day of love for the Jewish people. It's a week after Tisha B'Av, and it's supposed to be a day where we think about romantic love. We think about the fact that during this time we start our process of reconnection with God during the time running up to Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. And it's a time for us to hopefully get ourselves, as we start to return back from the summer season or the summer travel or some of the things that we normally do, that we start to think about this next season and start to think about this last half of the month of Av, which then goes into Elul. So the cycle of life, the cycle continues, and we're going to make some announcements about some of the things that we do around this synagogue, usually around this time of year. This community usually does some cool things at the last half of August during the month of the last part of Av and into Elul, like our Beach Havdalah, and this year we're going to have a screening of Gold, obviously, but also, of course, our open house, which we're going to mention towards the end of this evening's festivities. But Wendy is going to help get us into the mood for this Shabbat. This Shabbat as we move through this last part of Av. And again, if you looked up and saw the moon last night, it was starting to wane again. But yeah, it was still beautiful. It was a beautiful sky and a beautiful moon. And again, hopefully we'll have a great weekend, a great Shabbat. So we're going to get into the mood for Shabbat with Wendy's. This is a version of Hine Ma Tov that you wrote. And we also, as you notice, we have some shakers that we're going to do in a little bit too. So you're going to have to get yourself ready for some shaking.
Please join me, Hine Ma Tov. Hine Ma Tov, u'banayim, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine Ma Tov, u'banayim, shevet achim gam yachad. And in English, it's so good. It is so good to be here, to pray with you tonight. It is so good to be here and pray with you tonight. We are gathered here together to join in joyful prayer, lifting our hearts and souls in song in the sacred space we share. Hine Ma Tov, u'banayim, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine Ma Tov, u'banayim, shevet achim gam yachad. Shevet achim gam yachad. Shevet achim gam yachad. We're going to turn in our prayer books to page 2. Please join me in singing both Yadid Nafesh and Yismechu. Yedid nefesh avarochaman, Yedid nefesh avarochaman, Meshuchavdecha, Eretz zonecha, רציתי בו וקידשת שבת, חמדת ימים, אותו קראת השבת. ישמחו במלכותך, שומרי 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 שבת, וקורא עונג שבת. ישמחו במלכותך, שומרי 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 שבת, וקורא עונג שבת. זכר למעשה, למעשה בראשית שבת. זכר למעשה, למעשה בראשית שבת. ישמחו במלכותך, שומרי 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 שבת, וקורא עונג שבת. ישמחו במלכותך, שומרי 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 שבת, וקורא עונג שבת.
So we're going to do a Shalom Aleichem melody on page 3 with shakers, and we're going to pass those around. But this is also a special instrument that Wendy had. Do you want to explain your special friend there? Here, we'll pass around these. Thanks.
So we were in Greece in May. Let me take all this delay off. And so while the other ladies are going shopping for shoes and dresses and, knickknacks, I, of course, have to go to the music store. And I bought this. I've heard a couple of different pronunciations. Tzouras, Tzouras. I think it kind of sounds like Tzouras, like you got troubles. But a lot of these instruments, this is like a cousin of a bouzouki. Not a bazooka, a bouzouki, which is a traditional Greek instrument. And Greece, as you know, has had many wars and takeovers and people, taking over their country and ruling them. And it's also the seat of democracy. And so a lot of songs were written on the bouzouki and the tzouras.
So this is the first time we've ever, Rebbe Soul brings lots of different instruments, and he had a couple instruments that were a little similar to this, but he didn't have this one, I know. And so we had some interesting instruments a couple weeks ago. And what's really important too, as some of you know, is that a couple of weeks ago, Wendy was still recovering from surgery. So this is the first time that she's been here since then. We're really glad that she had a great recovery. And it's not the first time that she's performed since then. I want to make that clear, that we're not making her do anything that she hasn't done already a little bit, right? But this is her first Shabbat, and so we're very glad that she's recovering well. It was not as easy. Well, it's never easy, but we're definitely glad that she's doing well. So on page 3, you can find the words to Shalom Aleichem, which is again about welcoming the angels of Shabbat. And so I guess you'll give the directions on how to shake here. I don't know.
Okay, so I hope everybody has their good rhythm going in their head. 1, 1, 1, and 2, and Shalom, Shabbat, Shabbat, Shalom. So keep that in mind as we're singing. And the words to this are on page 3.
Malakei Hamalakim HaKadosh Baruch Hu Melech Malakei Hamalakim HaKadosh Baruch Hu Melech Malakei Hamalakim HaKadosh Baruch Hu Malakei Shalom, Malakei Shalom, Malakei Hayom, Melech Malakei Hamalakim HaKadosh Baruch Hu Malakei Shalom, Malakei Shalom, Malakei Hayom, Melech Malakei Hamalakim HaKadosh Baruch Hu Melech Malakei Hamalakim HaKadosh Baruch Hu Melech Malakei Hamalakim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Last verse. Sechem Shalom, Malakei Shalom, Malakei Hayom, Melech Malakei Hamalakim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Sechem Shalom, Malakei Shalom, Malakei Hayom, Melech Malakei Hamalakim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Melech Malakei Hamalakim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Melech Malakei Hamalakim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Baruch Hu.
Fantastic. Well, put those aside. We're going to use the shakers again before the end. But we're going to light our Shabbat candles. Now, I brought in different candles because I'm not like these candles. I'm not going to bash Yehuda candles, but I'm not happy with these candles. So I brought in these other ones we got. These are Or candles from, these came from Cambridge Farms. But all I know is that these are Yehuda candles. It says right here they're bougies. They're bougie. They're very bougie candles. It says, it's French. It's French. Anyways, but we're going to light our Shabbat candles.
Maybe you should do it the way Joyce said with another candle.
No. Well, that I did last week. That was my improvise. I don't think we need it this time. I think we're going to work with this candle. I between this lighter. Now the question is who's going to light the candles? Because normally, again, we have the person who sponsored the Oneg, and she's not here tonight. So we want to thank Judy Winokur for sponsoring Oneg tonight, but she's not here. But I'd actually like to ask to help come up right now to light our candles. Two of our members of our board right now, Cheryl and Sharon. Cheryl helped set up this Oneg tonight, and Sharon helped get our stuff ready for membership this week, was working with me to make sure that we had all of our stuff for the open house, which I told you you're going to get a flyer if you want to take the flyer tonight. But and Alan, her husband, helped put this new little window up there. This is our newest addition to our temple, is our new little...
Not by myself.
I know, Michael helped, but he gave you full credit for the design and the implementation of it. So thank you for doing that. And so lighting the candles on page 5. So you know what to do.
Asher kedeshanu b'mitzvotav, b'mitzvotav. Tzivanu lehadlikner, Tzivanu, Tzivanu lehadlikner, Tzivanu, Tzivanu lehadlikner, Shel Shabbat.
Let there be joy.
Let there be peace.
Let there be light.
Let
there be Shabbat.
Shabbat shalom. Thank you. Shabbat shalom. Shabbat shalom. Thank you. So, with ease of lighting, these ones definitely worked. And then let's see if they work, if they last. I think they're good. I think we found the right candle. Consumer Reports gives them, our Jewish Consumer Reports. Anyways, yeah, it's a good start. On page 5, at the bottom half of the page, it's a blessing for our families. We get to think about the generations and children, grandchildren, maybe even great-grandchildren. The interesting thing about this blessing is we've been saying this for thousands of years, and the first blessing, the version of this blessing that we have, was given by a grandparent to the grandchildren. But we can think of our parents and grandparents going back through the generations. We had a chance this last weekend. Since we had last Shabbat, I had a chance to see the Fiddler on the Roof team do the crew do the Sabbath prayer at the Performing Arts Center. And I have to tell you, and I talked to Tevye today. I talked to Reverend Andy today. I talked to him and just told him again today how wonderful it was. And how nervous I was that the show would, I was like, I felt personally responsible. Not just because I told people to come, but also because if my community can't put on Fiddler on the Roof, I think it's a reflection of the rabbi to some extent, but I don't know. I don't know why, but I felt it was. But they did a magnificent job. They really did, and they were fantastic. And I'll tell you that the one scene in that always gets me is Sabbath prayer. So you think about Tevye blessing his daughters, and I don't know what I thought of when I saw that as a kid, but to be able to do that. And to think about the generations and to see other people see what we did on Shabbos or what we do on Shabbos, what our ancestors have been doing for a long time was pretty powerful. So we take in that tradition again. Think about that, the people that you're thinking of right now that you'd like to give blessings to, your family and friends. So for the men and for the boys in our circles, we say Yasimcha Elohim ke'Ephraim vechi Menashe. And for the women and girls in our families and friends, we say, Yasimech Elohim kasara Rivka Rachel v'Leah. And for everyone, we offer this blessing of protection and peace. Yivarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha, Ya'er Adonai panav elecha v'chuneka. Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom. May God bless you and protect you. May God's presence enlighten you and be gracious to you. And may God reach out to you in tenderness and give you peace. And if you want to think a special thought for your family, for your friends everywhere, please do that. Well, I thought it was very doubtful that Taylor Swift would come to services before the concert, but she could have because, she probably has a helicopter that would have done that. But no, I didn't think it was going to happen. But you never know. But the really cool thing about it, of course, is that the Chaim sisters that are opening for her have a very interesting connection, very deep connection to Judaism and to Israel because their father was born in Israel. But the Chaim sisters also have talked about, written about, and celebrated their Jewish identity. And they're opening for Taylor this weekend, and they're pretty funny too. One of them was in the movie Licorice Pizza last year, so she's pretty funny young woman. But again, thinking about our community and people in our community, this is definitely a time when we do that. And we're going to welcome in, though, the bride. And again, it wasn't Taylor, but it is the Shabbat queen, the Shabbat bride. And on page 6, you can find the L'chad Odi. And again, this is a melody that Wendy wrote a few years ago.
It's not that slide. It's actually on page 6 in the prayer book. So please repeat after me until we get to Nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala pene Shabbat. And together we say Nekabela. Shamor v'zachar v'diburecha hishmi'anu el me'echad Adonai echad u'shemo echad Hashem tiferet v'letilah Lecha dodi likrat kala pene Shabbat nekabela likrat Shabbat lechu v'necha kichem echo habaracha berosh mekedem nisufcha sof ma'aseh v'mashkavati Lecha dodi likrat kala pene Shabbat nekabela. Everyone please rise and face the door. Shalom al terepala gam simcha u'tzola toch emoneam segula boichala 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 lecha dodi likrat kala pene Shabbat nekabela lecha dodi lecha dodi.
As we turn to page 7, we remain standing. As we open the Ark, the Aron, for our Baruch Hu, for the call to worship in the evening.
Baruch Hu et Adonai Amevora Baruch Adonai Amevora Amevora Leolam Vaed Amevora
Please be seated, everyone. And on page 7, the Mariv Aravim prayer, the nighttime prayer, reminds us of the beauty of the night sky and also the fact that in the evening, when it gets dark, we have nothing to be afraid of that God is with us during the day and during the night as well. At all times we're surrounded by love. And we thank God for the beauty of the night sky in this time of day and the change of seasons. Baruch atah Adonai hama'ariv aravim. And as we continue with the nighttime prayer of love, on page 8, Ahavat Olam. Ahavat
Olam, Beit Yisrael, Amcha ahavta, Amcha ahavta. Torah u'mitzvot, Chokim u'mishpatim, Otanu lemadeta, Otanu lemadeta. Al kein Adonai Eloheinu v'shokvenu, v'chomeinu nasiach bechokecha, v'nismach b'divrei Toratecha, u'mitzvotecha le'olam va'ed. Ki chem chayenu, yorech yameinu, Ovachem negei yamam v'layla, negei yamam v'layla. V'ahavat al tasir, v'meinu li'alamim, Baruch atah Adonai, ohev amo Yisrael. Ohev amo
So last week, as we were studying our Torah on Wednesday night, we actually read the section, and it was actually the Torah portion of the week. At Hanan last week, we read the Shema, which is famous because that section from Deuteronomy chapter 6, which again was our parsha, it also happened to be what we studied. That phrase Shema is, for us, we just hear the word Shema, we think about the prayer, we think about that section. But several times, and even as we saw this week, as we went into the next parsha in Ekev, it also uses the word Shema. Almost every portion in the first few weeks of Deuteronomy this time of year, we hear the word Shema. But again, the most famous is when we say it as part of the Shema, as part of the prayer, which again you can find in our Siddur on page 9. But before we do that, we're actually going to turn back to page 41, and we're going to do a melody that we sometimes do. We haven't done it in a while. But on page 41 is a song, a prelude to the Shema, with the translation of that word, listen, or hear for Shema. This is written by Doug Kotler. So page 41, listen.
If you're lost, you feel afraid, and you don't know what to say, then listen, listen to our God. Is there a question on your mind? Is the answer hard to find? Then listen, listen to our God. Listen with all your heart and soul, and with all your might. Write them and learn them and teach them well, every morning and night. Close your eyes and listen. Quiet yourself, there's nothing to say. Stop all the chatter that gets in the way, and listen, listen to our God. When the wind and the thunder finally disappear, there's still a voice top of the highest hill or in the valley below. It can come from the edge of the universe. It can come from within your soul. Close your eyes and listen. And we sing together, Shema. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malechuto Leolam. Listen, listen to our God. Listen, listen to our God. Listen.
We turn back to page
9.
9.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך, ודיברת בם, בשבתך בביתך, ובלכתך בדרך, ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם להיות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך, ובשעריך, למען תזכרו, ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם. As we continue on page 10, now, or actually we're going to do the slide for this one, right? This is the Micha Mocha that Wendy wrote and composed or adapted, right? So we continue with our song of freedom.
I hadn't really thought about if we need a shaker in this one, but if you're so inclined to play shaker, you have to sing louder than the shaking, though. That's the thing. And also, the shakers go back to my house. That's what I always tell my kids when I do a kids show. The shakers go to my house.
נהדר בקודש, נורא תהילות אוסף אלה, נורא תהילות אוסף אלה. And Moses said, follow me if you want to be free. I'll be the one to lead you through the Red Sea. And Miriam and all the women dance with glee as Adonai led the people through the Red Sea. Who is like you, O Lord, among the mighty? Who is like you, glorious in holiness, rewritten praises, doing wondrous deeds? So now the people of Israel could cross the Red Sea. And Moses said, follow me if you want to be free. I'll be the one to lead you through the Red Sea. ראו בניך בוקעים לפני משה ומרים זה אלינו ויאמרו אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד Adonai will reign forever and ever. The people chanted as they crossed the way to freedom, leaving Egypt for the promised land. They sang and danced and clapped their hands. Key-chain, follow me if you want to be free. I'll be the one to lead you through the Red Sea. The Miriam and all the women danced with glee as Adonai ran the people through the. One more time, follow me if you want to be free. I'll be the one to lead you through the Red Sea. The Miriam and all the women danced with glee as Adonai ran the people through the Red Sea.
As we continue on page 11 with Hashkivenu, this is our prayer for peace and to think about peace in our communities, to think about peace in Israel, throughout the world, and again at a time, and as we saw this week, the decision, the judgment against the attacker of Pittsburgh synagogue. It's a reminder that we're still at a time when people are afraid, where people have been attacked violently, even in synagogues. So it's something we think about. It's something that we hope that will come to an end, and we hope that, again, whatever happens in the course of our history and during our lifetimes, we hope that we bring more peace and security to our people and to people around the world. On page 11, this is the Hashkivenu, the nighttime prayer for peace.
Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu Shalom V'hamidinu Malkeinu L'chaim. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu Shalom V'hamidinu Malkeinu L'chaim. Ushmor Tzitenu
With Vishamru, which is our prayer, our song, Shabbat, for the covenant throughout time that is Shabbos, this special day in our lives each week. Vishamru.
You can use the shakers, as long as you sing louder than the shaking.
Shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat alasot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam berit olam. V'shamru ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורות ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. וביום השביעי שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה ויאמר דברך חירותי וימליך מלכותי בחייכון וביומכון ובחיי דרכו בית ישראל בעגלה ובזמן קריב ואמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבא מבורך לעולם לעולמי עולמים. יתברך וישתבח ויתברר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתעלה שמי לקודשו ברכו לעולם אין כל ברכותיו ושירותיו תושבחת בנחמתה תמירון בימה ואמרו אמן.
Amidah on page 13. The first part of the Amidah we chant together out loud, and then we continue silently with the Amidah on pages 14 and 15 with our own silent prayer. So please rise for Amidah, for the standing prayer, and be seated when you're done with your private tefillah, your private prayers. The Amidah for Shabbat. Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Leah, Elohei Rachel, Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor Vehanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, וקונה הכל, וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות, ומביא גאולה לפני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה, מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן. ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם ותעשר. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיה הכל אתה, רב להושיע, מחכל חיים בחסד, מחיה הכל ברחמים רבים. סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר. מי כמוך בעל גבורות, ומדומה לך, מלך מימי ומחיה, ומצמיח ישועה. ונאמן אתה לחיות הכל, ברוך אתה אדוני, מחיה הכל. So we're going to do in a moment another prayer for peace. This is a Oseh Shalom. This is a melody that is new.
It's new. I wrote it literally 5 minutes after I took this out of the box. I've had it
All
shipped
right.
from Greece.
So this is a new melody. This is a new prayer for peace. So what inspired you for this melody?
Well, this effects here. When I saw this in the music store, I'm like, I have to buy this to play it for Shabbat. That was my main thing. And like, I don't think I'll use it anywhere else, but I wanted to play it for Shabbat. So as soon as I took it out of the box, I'm like, I have to have a new melody for Shabbat. So that was my inspiration.
Interesting. So Oseh Shalom, though, we have lots of prayers for peace, and this one is probably there's a lot of different melodies for the words for Oseh Shalom. Part of Oseh Shalom, part of the first part, the phrase Oseh Shalom b'mrumav, God makes peace in the heavens and the universe, or has a harmony in the universe, different ways of translating the word shalom. It actually comes from the book of Job, which is interesting because Job is about somebody who doesn't, at least for a part of his life, doesn't find peace. But it is a understanding that there's like a peace, there's a sense of a place, a law, if you will, a harmony in the universe. And I thought about that. I went to see Oppenheimer on Monday, and I just got home. I literally just came right to services. No, it's a long movie, but it's an Oppenheimer joke. Anyways, it actually is 3 hours that goes by really fast, I have to say. But it was interesting about the movie was it obviously touched a little bit on Oppenheimer and the fact that everybody that worked on the Manhattan Project, with like the exception of 2 or 3 people, lead people, were all Jewish. And even the people that didn't work directly on the Manhattan Project, but were consulted on it, that were part of the circle, people that you know, and obviously famous people like Einstein and a lot of these physicists were interested in this project, at least partially, so that they could find some justice and end the murder of the Jewish people in Germany, where some of these people were from. But interestingly, and again, those without giving away the movie, they made a bomb and it ended a war. Ended a war. So I want you to know that. But interestingly, they were actually the people who worked on it were very committed to the idea that this would bring peace to the world and actually end wars. And for the most part, I have to say, and we don't know, again, still whether the genie, once it came out of the bottle, that's the ethical issue, and it's the issue that we still face. But almost 80 years later, they helped guarantee, that people would definitely think twice before starting a world war or engaging in world war. So that is part of it, and it is an interesting idea that perhaps the Jewish people who were working on that and who worked in other places, and of course, the worst kept secret in the world is that Israel has had nuclear weapons for 60 years, that it has helped in some ways guarantee the peace through the fear that if anyone really overran Israel, that there would be a consequence to it. So again, it's a strange thing to think about, but the fact that we as a people committed to peace, the values of peace, have tried to work for not just the peace for Israel, but for the people around the world. And so this is one of our prayers, our prayers for peace that, again, Wendy has adapted. And this is a version of Oseh Shalom that you can follow along with us.
Yeah, I think one of the reasons I picked this is because in Greece we heard about all the wars and the takeovers and then democracy. And can you hear me? Eddie's saying louder. We learned a lot about the wars and the takeovers and the birth of democracy. So when I unboxed this, I'm like, I need something about peace. So here we go. Oh, I forgot the most important thing. Dig it, 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 dig it. So you're not going to say that, but that's the rhythm of it. Dig it, dig it, dig it. On page 15, we also have a moment to pray for healing, to say a Misha Barach, for refuah shlema, for a full healing. And before we say Misha Barach, we take a moment to hear the names of the people that you're personally thinking of in need of healing. Again,
just take a moment to bring them in your mind, and if you feel so moved, to say their names out loud so we can pray for them together. So if you'd raise your hand, we can acknowledge you and can pray together for our people.
Doug Stott and Jay Chapman.
Pam Wask. The members of the grief loss group. Hersh and Rabbi.
Sam Frankel and Susan Berger.
Karen Barnett and Sue Contant.
Doreen Hauberger, Mike Melinak, Mike Schwartz, Darren Shepard.
Mike Schwartz.
Sharon Kill, Pam Wask.
Karen Barnett, Mike Schwartz, Mark Walker.
Joanne Shepard and Jennifer Logan. My sister Sharon Rubinick.
Rita Rafat. On page 15, towards the bottom of the page, Misha Barach. Our prayer book, we're going to turn to page 35 to Aleinu, and we're going to ask everyone to rise for Aleinu. Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, l'tekedu l'yotzeh breshit, shelo asanu kagei haratzot, velo samanu kimishbechot adama, shelo sam chelkenu kahen, vegor aleinu kechol hamono. Anachnu korim umishtachavim umodim lifnei melech malchei hamlachim hakadosh baruch hu shehu notei shamayim ve'osed haaretz umoshav yekaro b'shamayim imam ushkinat uzo Ushkinat uzo v'kaveh meromim Hu Eloheinu eino Emet malkeinu efet zulato Kakatu v'torato Yadat hayom v'hashivota El levavecha Ki Adonai hu Elohim Hashamayim v'imah v'yaharetz mitachat einod v'ne'emar v'haya Please be seated, everyone. As we come to the Mourner's Kaddish on page 36, thinking about, and again, I was joking before about movies and celebrities and stuff like that, but this week, the Jewish community lost an interesting person this week who became a celebrity and then became kind of had a strange life. But Pee Wee Herman, Paul Rubens, who passed away this week, unfortunately, to cancer, was very proud of his Jewish identity. He actually has an interesting background. I encourage people to read his story, his family story. But he was such a unique talent, and again was very unusual. And I think I don't think people really should have been surprised that he was an unusual guy, because he drew on that for his character and for what he did. He actually went to, some people know, he went to Cal Arts. He's one of Cal Arts' most famous alumnuses, and he was alumni, and he was actually involved in their if he was asked to do something for the Alumni Association, he would oftentimes, he was one of the few people who did that had continued on. But I felt an interesting kinship with him because we have something in common. No, we don't look at me like that. We were both, well, it was also weird, but we were both on the dating game, but we both didn't win on the dating game, I want to point out. But in all fairness, Tom Selleck is also in that group. Tom Selleck didn't win 3 times, just so you know. But I always wondered, nobody cared that I was on it, but the woman who didn't pick Pee Wee Herman, I wonder what she tells people. I could have gone on a date with Pee. Anyways, but his really interesting thing about his Jewish identity, and again, I encourage people to read about his father, who had an amazing story. His father passed away 15 years ago, but his father David was a pilot, one of the first 5 pilots for the nation of Israel. He was a U.S. Air Force, U.S. Air Corps pilot during World War II, and then volunteered to fight in Israel when they had no Air Force. And he actually got shot down over Israel during the War of Independence. So it was a very interesting story that some people have heard about only because, interestingly, Steven Spielberg's sister did a movie called Above and Beyond about the early Israeli Air Force, and the story of those people, most of them American, who fought in Israel's early Air Force. It's an amazing story, and Pee Wee's dad was one of them. So again, read more about it. There's some great, very easy access stories on the internet about his dad and about that amazing story. So again, we were sorry that he passed, and as we think about people who've passed during these last days and during this Shloshim and even this last Shiva period, in our own community, we remember the yard sites, the losses at this time of year: Florence Omens, Anna Friedberg, Sam Levine, Beatrice Winokur, Myra Gershon, Ida Strauss, Esther Nudell, Sidney Silver, Murray Tobe, Joshua Sparagi, Henry Mandel, Louis Hersh, Stephen Namias, Philip Lipson, Marvin Ashkenaz. And we remember over this last year, Matthew Himlin, Anita Locker, Mina Hirsch, Harriet Lipschitz, Sherwin Golden, Debbie Schulman, Marvin Jubas, Jerry Weiss, Beverly Mandelblatt, Joyce Sakertoff, George Tabak, Mary Lou Block, Gloria Wasserman, and Shirley Schwartzman. And if there are people that you're personally remembering now whose names we haven't said out loud, we ask you to say them before we say Kaddish.
Bernard Labor.
And again, as we remember the victims of war and the victims of terror during this last Shana, on page 36, we rise as we thank God for their lives and for our ability to remember them in blessing as we say the Mourner's Kaddish. Yitgadal v'yikadash Shemei Rabbah, be'alma divrach hirutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chai echon u'v'yom echon uvchaye dechol beit Yisrael. Ba'agala v'zman kari ve'imru amen. Yehi shmei rabba mevarach leolam u'almei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei dekudesha b'richu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata. Tushbechata v'nechemata. Da'amiran be'alma v'yimru amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya. V'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Osei shalom b'imrumav. Hu ya'aseh shalom. Aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. May the source of peace and peace to all who mourn and comfort to all who are bereaved. And we say together, amen. Amen. Please be seated, everyone. And again, before we continue on, again, one of the people that we just remembered, Josh Sparagi, his family is here with us tonight, that this loss that happened now decades ago, actually 20 years ago this weekend, on the secular calendar, is a loss that is still felt profoundly, not just by his family, but by all of us. And we think about Josh frequently, and again, a life that was taken from us tragically at this time of year. So this is a time during the summer when we think about the things that we've got coming up, and to think about the fact that 2 weeks from now, one of our summer traditions is our beach Havdalah, and it'll be 2 weeks from this Saturday. We'll be out at the beach. We'll be out at Marina Park, as we have been for decades. And we're going to celebrate. It's kind of for us the unofficial end of summer is the beach Havdalah, and it means that like the regular scheduled things for the new school year and for the new synagogue year are underway. Because the next weekend we're going to have our open house. So Sunday the 27th we're going to have our open house, and here's the flyer back out there that we just approved. We want to thank again Sharon for making sure we got this cool flyer. Actually, Rick Lupert actually put it together, but under the direction, the guidance of Sharon. So it's cool because we're going to have Sundays. It's not just an open house. We're going to have an ice cream bar set up here at the synagogue, and as it says there at the bottom, lactate, gluten-free, and sugar-free options are going to be provided. We're covering everything now. So, but we want to make sure everyone comes, and that's going to be from 1 till 4. And you don't have to have any ice cream or anything. Just come by and be part of our open house and learn about some of the things we've got coming up over the course of this next year. Some of the things that we have, including obviously the high holidays, which we also have our flyer for high holidays out there with our schedule, where we're going to be at Valencia United Methodist for just down the street for most of our things, except for the concluding service at Yom Kippur and the breakfast, which will be here. Everything else will be there. So over the last few years, we oftentimes had to adjust because the places haven't been available to us all the time, but not this year. This year we're having everything there. And Tashlich will be over at Bridgeport on the Sunday. So this year, the way the high holidays come out, Rosh Hashanah is over a weekend, and Yom Kippur is on a Monday. So my hope is that people are able to be there with us. And again, the information is on our website. It's going to be all around, we hope. And once again, we'll have the services available for people if they're out of town, if they're traveling, if they're going to need to stream it. That'll be an option too, because we have Michael, who's so good at streaming, and actually Tevya, Reverend Andy, is going to be there to help coordinate the sound in that location, which is a beautiful location. We've used it the last couple of years. They've been very, very nice to us there, and we're looking forward to having a great beginning of the year, which is now about a month and a half away. It's not that far away. So, and before you know it, then we'll be into the regular schedule of the new year, of Sukkot, Simchas Torah, all those great kinds of things too, that we'll have information on at the open houses And you'll be seeing that soon too. So again, a lot of stuff coming up in the next couple weeks, but we also want to remind people that the Golda screening, you saw probably the Facebook post that we put up a couple times this week. The Golda screening at the Laemmle Theater is during this time too. So it's going to be on the 23rd of August. So that's it was 3 weeks from Wednesday. So we won't have our Wednesday night class that night because this special screening, this debut screening, is only on that night. It's only on that day. It's the only time that they're doing it, and they're doing it with movie theaters around the country. So it is it's called Fathom Events, and they do Jewish films and films from Israel. They do them with a special kind of premiere, and this has an interview with Helen Mirren that's only going to be shown during this screening. So that's at 7 o'clock, and we sold out one theater, and then I asked Greg Laemmle to give us another theater. He gave us a 4 o'clock show, and he gave us a 7 o'clock show. So he gave us the largest theater at 7 o'clock. So I asked him, what happens if we sell out that theater too? So he just said, I'll buy you drinks if you get that one sold too. But I think, I hope everybody comes, and it's supposed to be a really great movie, and we get to see it a couple days earlier than the general public will. But again, that second theater opened up, and about half of it is sold out, except for the first 3 rows are all available, but the back area, about half of it sold out already. So I definitely recommend to get on there. There's about 30 seats in the back that, not in the first rows that you can still get. What? Yeah, about half of the 4 o'clock is sold out. But I knew that people wouldn't want to go just to 4 o'clock. And, some people have jobs. So I asked them to give us another 7 o'clock, which they were really nice about doing. And I'd like to show that we actually needed it too. So that's coming up pretty soon. It'll be here before you know it. But we have class this week coming up. We have Tuesday morning at 9 a.m. in person, and also online, and then Wednesday evening. Our Deuteronomy class is going to be in person and online as well on Wednesday evening at 7. So any other announcements or anything that we need to mention? Doreen?
I just wanted to share something.
Yes.
I had the opportunity to work on Pee Wee's Playhouse.
Oh, you did? Yeah, I remember.
Made the costume. I made the pajamas for all of the
yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, I made those, and I was on set. I made them. I came and I measured those fake, all that stuff, and then I was putting him on, and Pee Wee's just sitting there in the center of the stage going like this, and just watching me, and just watching me. He didn't say a word. He doesn't like new people on the set, so he just sat and just watched everything I did. I felt like, oh my God, I'm going to faint, because he wouldn't take his eyes off me, because he didn't like people, he didn't know. Anyway, it was a very interesting experience, and he seems like he was a nice guy.
Well, from what I understand, everybody who worked with him said he took his job very seriously, and he did not, even though he was doing humorous stuff, he was doing childlike stuff, he did not take it, it was not a game for him. He took it very seriously, so that makes sense. Well, we're going to finish up now. We're going to, again, we want to thank Judy Whitaker for sponsoring the Oneg. And thank you, Wendy, for bringing some new melodies to us, for bringing a new instrument to us, bringing a Tzouras.
Tzouras.
That's what it's called. It's
I'll
called.
bring my bass next
This
time.
is Tzouras.
Tzouras.
So, anyways, we're going to finish up this evening, this Shabbos, getting ready to go into rest of Shabbos. What are we finishing up with tonight, Wendy?
Page 37, Adon Olam.
Adon Olam. Well, Adon Olam. Yeah.
So we're not doing that. This is another wacky Wendy melody. And I think most of you were around for the music in the 50s and the 60s, so you'll hear that influence. Adon Olam Hashem Orach, B'terem kol Yitzin Yibra. Oh
I go Ali, it's so heavily, Tzira, Hunisi, Monosli, the note Kosi, everybody! Adonai Moshe Molan, the Terem Koyet Sinivra, the Eid Nasava Hepsako, Simon Akshemonika, Yado, Afkid Ruchi, Yetishan, Biahira, Imrochi, Keviati, Adonai Levelo, Ira. Big finish! Adonai Lama Shemoran, the Terem Koyet Sinivra, the Eid Nasava Hepsako, Azai Melech Shemo Nikra. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbos, join us for our Oneg together, and we'll say our Kiddush on Motzi together in the other room. Come with us. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
So are you happy with your instrument?
Yes, yes.